Welcome back to Dr. B Teaches and the Seven Generation Podcast. Hope everyone is doing well out there. If you were watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, where you can actually see my background, this is the studio. It's a work in progress, but I've been working on it over the summer. Summer's coming to an end. We're going into fall. So hopefully it'll be done soon. But a little bit of a different look. And I've been doing a lot of short form content utilizing this background here. But today I wanted to try something a little different and go live on YouTube. This will be streamed later on my Patreon. If you want to support my work, you can go to Patreon, become a supporter. And I'm going to go ahead and also post this up on Spotify and all the major platforms as well. So this is both Dr. D Teaches, my YouTube channel, and the Seven Generation Podcast. Hope everyone is doing well out there. It's been a busy month or two for myself. I went back to work after vacation, and I always have an adjustment getting back to work. So it's full go now because we're already about halfway through the semester, which is kind of crazy. But I've also been doing a lot of content, a lot of short form content mostly, and been having a good time. There's a lot going on in the world, a lot of interesting changes, of course, a lot of terrible things going on as well, especially what we're seeing here on the streets in the United States. And then, of course, what's going on in Gaza as well. So anyway, just a lot. And I know a lot of people are struggling with all these changes and just a lot of fear mongering and just a lot of ugliness, unfortunately. And a lot of it comes from maybe watching a little bit too much news or being on social media a little bit. So definitely have to unplug, and I know I have to from time to time just because it gets a little overwhelming and give you a little bit of anxiety and stress if you're always online, you're always scrolling, and you're always watching the news. Trust me, that type of sensationalism is what sells. Fear sells, and we live in a culture of fear right now, and that's pretty much what they're pushing on us. So anyway, there's a lot of good in the world, and I just want people to know that because I see it each and every day. Good people, a lot of good that's happening in communities everywhere. It's just that those people are rarely heard, they're rarely seen. So that kind of brings me to the topic of today, which has to do with leadership and activism. And I released a short form video, some short form content on performative activism. And this is something I've been thinking a lot about recently. And so I wanted to revisit the topic and expand on it just because I feel as though one thing that we're lacking today is good leadership. There's a lot of people out there who are on social media posting. These are not bad things, raising awareness, sharing your thoughts and feelings about what's going on. Uh, but something I've noticed is that a lot of these activists today, and I put air quotes around the word activism now, a lot of it is just about branding. It seems as though every cause, uh, there's some kind of campaign, there's some type of way for people to make money off of it. Every tragedy, the pain and suffering that people go through has become content. And I'm not saying that that's always a bad thing because if you're actually raising awareness about some of the really terrible things that are happening in the world, then obviously, yes, then I'm all about that. But I feel as though a lot of our social movements are just being hijacked by individuals who are looking to self promote, and that's kind of what the video was talking about, and, something I've been thinking a lot about it, and I never tell anybody that I'm an activist. I always tell people, "Look, I do some community work. I do my part. I'm a college professor. I teach jujitsu. I do my best to give back as much as I can. But at the end of the day, you don't have to be out there in the streets being an activist and going to protests to bring really great change to the world, to your families, to yourself, or to your community. You just don't have to do that. Now, there are people who enjoy doing that, and I'm all about it. If that's what you want to do with your life, if that's something that isn't in your heart, where you want to go to the streets and you want to participate in protests, then that is something that you should do. But something that I've noticed are people who create organizations, and I'm going to give some examples. I'm not going to name any particular organization, but I definitely have had some experiences with this where it's not really about the movement, it's not really about the cause or solving problems per se. It's almost as if people's pain and suffering has become a way for people to make money. And the commodification of trauma and performative activism I find incredibly problematic. And I see this so much with social media. Wherever people go, they take their cameras with them. And I do the same. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that when I would go somewhere um, with my motorcycle club, or I would go to an event, I would take my camera, take pictures, and I would post them later or use it for content. But there's some situations in many cases where I would not do that. And I feel like there's some people just have no shame whatsoever. And it's not about what's going on. It's not about the event. It's about them engaging in this performance that look at me, I'm here at this event, I'm important, and it draws attention to them and what they're doing or what they're giving. And it's not really about what's actually happening. And I hope I'm making some kind of sense here. And hopefully throughout this podcast, I'll be able to flesh out some of my ideas. But there are some situations where I just think it's inappropriate for people to be taking pictures, especially if it's only uh, to promote themselves, to promote their brand, to line their pockets with money. And that is something that I'm just completely against. And I've seen it firsthand. I've watched people just use situations and use others as props. And again, it's almost like a performance. And it's really gross. It's really disgusting. And I think there's a lot of um, poor leadership out there, people who are doing it and maybe don't even know that they're doing it, or somehow they've convinced themselves, maybe that's more it. They've just convinced themselves they're actually doing good when some of these people actually know that what they're really doing is just promoting themselves. There's a lot of narcissism and ego involved here. So, and I feel like it's disrespectful to the different communities that are involved, that are used as props. It turns really horrible situations or difficult situations or situations that involve real action. And that's what activism is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about action. It's not supposed to be about promoting someone's brand. It's not supposed to be about promoting one particular individual, like, hey, look at me. Look at all the things that I do. I've been here, I've been there. It's not supposed to be about that. It's not supposed to be turning somebody's healing into a spectacle. And these are some of the things that I've seen. It really does drive me crazy. And a lot of it stems from, again, uh, egotistical personalities, um, and people who are looking to serve themselves, looking to grow their bank accounts, grow their brand, so to speak. And I'm seeing this more and more in social media, and I've also participated in some organizations where I finally thought to myself, this is something that I don't really want to participate in because I don't really like what I'm seeing here. It's not really actually doing something for the people or for the community or whoever it is that are supposed to we're supposed to be helping, assisting. It's really doing something for one particular person, and it's all about optics. So there's a lot of fakes out there, a lot of people that you should be aware of, and I'll talk a little bit about how to spot some of these people. But yeah, some of these individuals, it's all about profit, and it comes at the expense of the communities that they're supposed to be serving, or the issues that are coming up that are really important to the communities, whether it's protecting the land or protecting the water, sacred places. Uh, there's a lot of crises out there, especially in indigenous communities. And there's a lot of really amazing people doing incredible work. And those are the ones that should be in the spotlight if we're going to spotlight anybody. And that should never be the purpose, because that's what makes a good leader a good leader is somebody who isn't about the spotlight, somebody who doesn't want them people to put the focus on them. They just want to do the hard work. They're just about their community. They just want to see their community do better. They want to see people be uplifted. And that's the kind of leadership that we need. And unfortunately, I feel like that kind of leadership is lacking. It's almost if people just want to go for the photo, look, I was here, then they go home and there's no action behind it. And that's something I'm just seeing way, way too often. And, I do my best. I do post on a lot on social media. Obviously, I'm a content creator. I'm not trying to say I have a big following, because I don't. What little following that I have, I try to use it to spread awareness. I've tried to take some of the knowledge that I have. I'm a sociologist. I love history, and I just share some of the things that I have learned. I've shared some of my experiences, and I just do my part. That's it. I'm not an activist. I'm just looking to do what I can do, what however little it might be. And I see these so-called leaders out there who talk a big game, but they are not there when the real work needs to be done. They're there for the photo op, they're there to use people as props, but when it comes to actually putting in the hard work, nah. And you contrast that with people who operate silently, or they're just trying to do the hard work. They just wanna see people do better. They just see an issue in their community and they get after it. All those aunties, those uncles, those community organizers, people who are putting in the hard work for their community, for their youth. And it doesn't even have to be about putting in community work. The parents who raise their kids in a good way, the mother who raises up their child to be healthy, well adjusted human beings. That's doing the hard work. And those are the people that I have the most respect for. And again, I'm not putting anybody down who goes to protests or people who get out there and hold up signs. I'm not even talking about that type of individual. I'm talking about others who they use these situations, they use the culture, they use these social movements as a means to make a living. There's literally people out there who are professional activists. And I put air quotes around activists, because if anybody comes up to you and says that they're an activist, I would probably do my best to end the conversation as quickly as I could, and walk in a different direction. So we do need more good community leaders out there. And we have some amazing people, and they don't get the real support that they need and they deserve. So, all right. Let's talk about how to spot some of these fake leaders. And I'm only going based on my personal experiences here. I've done a little bit of research on this. I've read up a little bit on performative activism. There is some research on it. So if you want to check it out, definitely take a look at it for yourself. But I kind of made some notes here, and this is just kind of what I came up with just based on what I've seen. And I'm only laughing because some of the stuff does make me laugh. And some of these people are they're so absurd. They can't even see what they're doing. They're just so caught up in the performance, wearing that mask, uh, that they can't even see just how absurd and ridiculous they are. But anyway, some of the things that I have written down. Number one, they typically go to events with an entourage. I have been around these types where whenever they go somewhere under the guise of we're going there to help, usually it's with a group of people, a big group, an entourage. These fakes always need an audience. They always need people around them to make them feel important. Real leaders don't need that. And I've seen this. People who are just amazing. Some of the best leaders I've ever been around, and there I have made friends, friendships with some really incredible people, some amazing leaders. And they could care less about having an entourage. They could care less about people who are coming along with them to do whatever the hard work is. They're going out there to do it because it's in their heart. And I've seen these individuals and they're really inspiring. Then I've seen the other ones where, they can't go anywhere without an entourage and they need a big audience. Uh, Probably feeds into their ego, their narcissism. The second way to spot some of these people is that they're making a living off of their activism. The cause or the movement or whatever it is that they're doing has now become a way for them to earn a living. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with earning a living. We live in a capitalistic society. We have to pay the bills. Okay. Uh, but if you're turning community work into a way for you to profit, um, I don't know. I I think that's a little strange. And I've seen how some people have done this, slowly evolved as individuals who, maybe in the beginning they were just doing the hard work. And next thing you know, it just became more about the money, about traveling or doing whatever it is that's going to increase your bottom line. And it's all about we're serving people or we're doing this, but really these individuals are serving themselves. And along with that comes content creation, right? Just being online, getting monetized by whatever social media platforms individuals are using or creating nonprofits. And again, nothing against nonprofits. This is not an attack on any kind of nonprofit work. Okay. It's not an attack on any particular individual either. I don't want people to try to guess, well, he's talking about this person, he's talking about that individual. These are just some observations that I'm making. Okay. So they make a living off their activism. They're basically professional grifters. Their grift is, oh, we're going to come in, we're going to help, or we're here to uplift, right? Bring some positivity, whatever. Uh, Third thing, they love to name drop. They're obsessed with proximity to power or proximity to whatever it is going to make them appear to others as being more important. So they drop a lot of names. I've been here, I've done this, almost as if they're giving you their resume. And that's just weird. Whenever I hear people doing that, well, I've done this and I've done that. Well, why do you have to talk about it? What is so important about you that we should um, even care that you've done this list of things, right? Um, but I've seen this with individuals who they just love to talk about all the things that they've done and the places they've been and the communities that they've done this for. And um, yeah, red flag right there. Always name dropping. I've been here. I participated in this protest. I participated in this event. Oh, yeah, we went out there and we helped those people. Yeah, red flag. All right, number 4, they refer to themselves as activists. Anybody that says they're activists, I'd mentioned this earlier in the podcast, definitely got to question that. And I think that's just a little strange. Um, I know that when I released the short form video, I had some people even say that too. That's kind of cringy. People saying, running around, calling themselves activists. If you're just doing the work, you're just doing the work. And I've just seen people out there who they don't call themselves anything. They're just out there doing whatever hard work needs to be done. And if people are running around labeling themselves as this, I don't know. I tend to question that. Another red flag. They got slogans. That's red flag number 5. They got slogans. It's a brand. It's a particular kind of look. They might even have a costume on. They're selling their merchandise, selling their t-shirts, or selling whatever it is that they're selling. T-shirts is the only thing that came to mind. And again, this is no disrespect to anybody who has a business or anybody who is trying to make a living. I'm not talking about that issue. I'm talking about making a living off of people's pain, their suffering, or making a living off of real social issues that are affecting communities that you say that you're doing something for, that you're serving, or that you're using situations really just to spotlight you and your organization. So that way you can have the appearance that, oh, we're this incredible group that goes around doing this and that and the other for the people, for the communities that they're supposed to be serving. So yeah, they typically have slogans, a brand, a particular look, maybe even a costume. The movement just becomes about merchandise, commodities. Everything's been commodified. Everything is about making money. And like I said, I'm not against people making money. I mean, I have a job, a very good job, super blessed to be in education, and I love what I do. Absolutely love what I do. And I understand that there's people out there trying to make a living. I know people are into music and they're artists, they're um, creating merchandise, and I have nothing against that whatsoever, right? I mean, I do have something against when I jump on a social media platform and I see people selling shirts that are supposed to support the MMIW crisis. I find that to be really problematic. Um, I always tell people, look, man, if you have a lot of purchasing power and you want to support uh, businesses, make sure that you research the businesses that you're supporting. Um, because there's a lot of grifts out there. There's a lot of scams, and there's a lot of people in the community who are scamming others, right? Just taking people's money, drinking the Kool-Aid. People out there just drinking the Kool-Aid and allowing these people to live off of their BS. Typically, see this a lot. They center themselves. It's always about them. Uh, Somehow, no matter what, when they're talking or when they're posting or whatever, it's always about them. It's always about something that's feeding their ego, and they're really just selling themselves. It's pretty gross. Pretty gross. And of course, this is the last one I'll talk about. They'll play victim and they'll deflect. They have they have no accountability whatsoever. these kind of people never take responsibility. They will defend the grift to the very end, probably because they've convinced themselves that they're actually doing some good. Some of these people are so narcissistic and are so out there, they don't even know what they're doing. And they've convinced themselves maybe that, they're raising awareness or whatever it is that they think that they're doing. So that's how you spot some of these people. Like I said, I've been around just my own experiences. I've been in some organizations, and that's what I wanted to talk about here. I've been in some organizations that I have left for these reasons where I have unfortunately come to the realization that some of these people um, just weren't good people, weren't good individuals. So I've had to just kind of move on. And those were really hard decisions because in some of these organizations that we participate in, these social movements that we're a part of, or we join something just because we think, oh, this is going to be really good for me because I'm going to be able to learn and educate myself or grow as a person, be able to do more for others, help others. And then unfortunately, maybe it doesn't really turn out that way. And you slowly kind of figure that out. And I've had that happen to me where just slowly kind of figured out that what I thought was a good organization, maybe it wasn't what I thought it was. And I wasn't going to drink the Kool Aid any longer. And so I had to pretty much move on. And making those decisions aren't always easy, but I definitely have had some experience with this, unfortunately. Uh, let's talk about the flip side because I've also had the pleasure of being in some organizations, some groups that are just absolutely amazing and incredible, uh, around some amazing leaders. And I don't look at myself. I just want to make this clear as well. I don't see myself in this way. Uh, I mean, I'm the kind of person, and I love to support and follow others that I believe in or that I know are doing really good work, putting those people out there, putting a spotlight out there on them. And that's what I try to do with my platform as much as I can is to spotlight people who are doing so much amazing work. And I just do this much. I mean, I do very little. Um, don't get me wrong. I'm proud of the profession that I'm in and have the opportunity to be able to work with some of the most amazing people every day at work and all the experiences that I've had. I've tried my best to um, be the kind of person that I want to be for others. And I've tried my best to always remain open minded, to remain caring, to remain compassionate, and uh, very proud of what I've done with my life. But I don't see myself as being a leader of anything. I see myself as just being somebody who just wants to do their part. So, talk about again some of the good relationships that I've developed with others who are just incredible leaders. These are typically people who just they lead out front and they do what they do just because they care. They care. They want to serve first and foremost. And that's really what leadership is about is serving whoever it is that you're trying to help. It's about putting your words into action or just taking action. And these people, they speak less and they do more. And I've been around some of these types of people. And they're pretty incredible. They're about building community. They don't crave the spotlight. They don't crave credit. Not trying to get others to listen to them. They gain support because of the work that they do, not because of something that they're selling. You see a lot of these shitty leaders are trying to sell you a bunch of nonsense. And a good leader, you just want to follow them because you see that the work that they're doing is important and you see the hard work that they're putting into it. And I've been around some of these people and they're pretty amazing. They have very good values and they're not egotistical. They have a lot of compassion. They're not vain, narcissistic, really just the opposite of everything I explained earlier. Here's something that's really important to me. I'm going to go back to an experience that I had as this one organization. So, this one individual, supposedly a leader, an activist, always talked about being positive, putting out good energy. And what I always tell people is you could recognize a good person, first and foremost, a good person and a good leader for how they treat people when they're not in front of a group, when there is no camera, when they're not performing. And I've seen people put on just these incredible performances in front of others. But man, once you're in private with that person, behind closed doors, or the camera's not on, they're the most negative, ugly, judgmental people you'll ever meet. And it's really, really ugly. It's ugly to see. It's kind of sad. And so that's something I look for in people is like, what are they like when you're just hanging out with them one on one? How are they talking about others? How are they treating others? And some of the best leaders I've been around, people who inspire me. And again, these aren't people who are leading organizations or what have you, just people who I know have leadership capabilities. They treat others with respect and dignity. And that's hard to find. That really, really is because there's just so many assholes out there, just so judgmental and so mean, no compassion, narcissistic, vain, and ugly. And you could tell they're using whatever platform they have, whatever brand that they have, really just to feed into their own ego. And good leaders don't do that. So, just some examples again of leaderships, at least in my world that I've seen. And obviously, jujitsu. Been training jujitsu for years. And big shout out to Coach Kleber. He is somebody, Kleber Luciano, by the way, black belt under the Gracies, been a black belt for almost 30 years, or maybe it has been 30 years. He awarded me my black belt in jujitsu about 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago. And he's somebody who's been an inspiration to me. Just the way that he treats people. I mean, he has been somebody from the moment I met him. I could tell he's little, 5'2" Brazilian world champion. I mean, he has done it all in the world of jujitsu and MMA, Muay Thai. He's just, man, just incredible. Just what he's done with his life. And it's really very much an inspiration. But he comes in and he does seminars at Seventh Generation Jiu Jitsu, and he's just such a positive person, such an incredible leader. But again, when he's not on stage, he's not talking to the group, and it's just myself and him, he's just helped me out so much in my life. And a good friend to me and a good mentor. So shout out to my man Kleber. In education, I've had so many amazing mentors. Oh gosh. I don't want to name anybody because I'll end up forgetting. but literally going all the way back. People I met when I was a community college student. Um, well, I'll mention one person. Community college, Art Amaro was, and just a great mentor to me. And I took a couple of classes from him, and he just believed in me. And he's the kind of person just so uplifting. And I've known him for about 30 years. Known this man for about 30 years, and always the same person. Just a beautiful individual, and has helped so many people. And myself, as a college professor, I've always tried to model my teaching and my education style off of what I learned from him. That's my community college days, and I had Bob Fisher when I was a undergraduate. Just taught me so much. Linda Fuller in graduate school. I'll just name three people. There's so many others, but Bob Fisher, Linda Fuller, just some of the best people I could have ever met that have just guided me in such a good way. And that's what I always tell people. It doesn't You don't have to be a fucking activist. You don't have to get out there and go to the streets and protest. Just being a good person and just being there for others, caring about others, and just giving a shit. That's what we really need. We really need that. We really, really need that. And don't get me wrong, I have respect for people who are out there doing the hard work in these social movements, people who protest, people who really put their butts on the line. I got so much respect for them, so much. But you don't have to do that to make a difference. I mean, some of these people made such a big difference in my life. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for so many of those people. And they weren't these transformative leaders, but in a sense, they were, because they transformed my life. They made my life different. They made me want to be a better person. And that's something that a leader should do. A good leader should make you want to be a better person, make you want to make a difference in the world. And then, of course, all the parents out there handling their business, paying the bills, raising their kids in a good way, raising their kids to be good people, to be well-adjusted human beings. Anyway, I ran into some amazing parents out there, and I know that's the toughest job in the world. Trust me, doesn't matter what kind of protesting you're doing, or whatever you decide to do with yourself and um, your personal life and what you do outside the home. Parenting, if you become a parent, that'll be the most important and also the most difficult job you'll ever do. Anyway, leadership isn't about being in front. It's about being accountable to something bigger than yourself. It should never be about you. It should always be about what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're hoping to bring about change with, or whatever situation that you're hoping to help out with? It's always got to be about that. It can never be about the individual. All right. So, just to reaffirm here, just want to make it clear, I am not calling out any particular individual. It's not really my thing. It's not my get down. It's just something I've been thinking about. And the reason why I've been thinking about it is because we need good leaders. We need people out there who are willing to do the hard work to make a difference. That's why I'm here today. It's because of all the amazing people that just did so much for me. And you don't have to be a, I don't know, social media content creator to make a difference. You just don't have to. You can make a difference today, just, changing your life in a good way, just working on yourself. Because trust me, work on yourself, become a better person, and you're going to um, make a difference in this world. So I'm not here to call out anybody. I don't have a list of organizations or anything that you shouldn't join or be a part of. You have to make up that decision for yourself. Um, Again, big shout out there to all you parents, teachers, community builders, people working on language revitalization programs, all the people who have that cultural knowledge that you're willing to share with your communities, people who are working with the youth and just doing something for the community. I really do want to say that you all are very special, and you don't need the spotlight, uh, but we all should spotlight you. And so I don't have anybody to mention. Again, I'm always afraid I'm gonna leave somebody out. There are so many people out there that I have so much respect for in the work that they do, and I'm just so thankful for them and just everything that they bring. Also, if um, you do want to call yourself a leader, you want to be a leader, you need to ask yourself, who are you serving? Are you really working on behalf of the community? Because if you're just working on building an image, forget about it. It's always got to be about taking action and doing something. So much love and respect to all the real ones out there who are moving in silence. You are the heartbeat of all these social movements, all the good, all the positivity that's happening in our community as a result of your hard work. So much love and respect to you. And I wanted to thank everyone, of course, for listening to Seven Generation Podcast. Dr. B teaches. This is something a little different for me because I am live on YouTube right now. And it looks like I have a few comments. Just gonna go right through them. Angel said, "Hello, how you doing?" Uh, Mr. B, doing pretty good. Hey, Doctor B from Amelia. David, awesome T-shirt. Yes, Indigenous Land. Check her out on Instagram. She's usually a vendor at the Indigenous Red Market up in Oakland. And whenever I go there, I always support her, buy something from her booth. I'm kind of a minimalist. And, people always ask me about my t-shirts. I'm a t-shirt guy. I got a bunch of t-shirts. I usually, like I said, this one is from Indigenous Lands. She's Danae. And I really love this minimalist style that she has here. This one says land back, but she has another one with North and South America. And it just says native land across it. And I really like that. I have that shirt as well somewhere around here, but I get my other shirts from the Natives website. They're going to be coming out with some shirts probably in November, and I'll definitely pick up a few. Don't forget Bethany Yellowtail, Northern Cheyenne. She is working with Carhartt as well, and she just dropped um, some new designs that are pretty cool. And so they're not even out yet. It's a fall collection. So go check out Carhartt, Bethany Yellowtail. And let's see who else. Native Coffee. Native Coffee sent me a t-shirt and some of their coffee. Big shout out to them. Native Coffee is awesome. Follow them on Instagram. Don't forget to check out their website. If you like coffee, buy some of their coffee. And they sent me a shirt, says Merciless Savages on it. And of course, that's my one of the names that I go by is Merciless, especially on TikTok. And anyway, I love that shirt and I love that brand. Native Coffee is awesome. So check them out. Love the work that they're doing. So anyway, David, that's about my shirt that I'm wearing today. It says Native Land. I like it. Very simple, minimalist. It says, "Yeah, we're lied to so much that reality is a major shock." Unfortunately, that's true. Um, let's see. Uh, borderline personality disorder. Yeah, there's some people out there. A lot of leaders that they suffer from that because people who want to be out front leading, and that's what I always say is that There's different types of leadership styles, and some of these leaders are very charismatic, by the way. Like I said, I was in an organization. The leader was definitely charismatic, and he made it easy for you to drink the Kool Aid and believe whatever BS came out of his mouth. But some of these people are definitely not well. And I could name some people in politics uh, who are supposed to be good leaders who are not, who look like they're suffering from some kind of disorder. But that's not my area. I have a I'm a doctor of sociology and my PhD in sociology. So anyway, but this world that we live in makes us crazy. That's what I always tell people. People tell, "What's wrong with the world?" And I'm like, "Well, you're living in it, and I'm living in it, and we're barely making it because the world's crazy, not because you or I are crazy. The world can make us crazy, though." Anyway, um, let's see what else I have. Hello, storyteller. Always lovely to hear yours. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words. Thanks for being available and honest. Thank you for that. And kinship and mentors, moral support and encouragement, nature's kind to us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kinship and having good mentors, it's everything. Like I said, I've had the best mentors ever. And I don't even know what know what to say. Sometimes I just wonder how blessed I have been. Why I have been so blessed to have so many amazing people in my life that have done so much um, for me and my life. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Um, says that would look good spray painted on the side of a building. I think you're right. I think this shirt would look really, really cool. Anyway, I appreciate those of you who are checking out uh, my live stream right now. Again, this is going to be going to all the major platforms. It'll be streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the major platforms. I'll throw it up on my Patreon. Don't forget if you want to support my Patreon as well. And just for full disclosure, so I do make like a little bit of money from Patreon for anybody who supports my content, and basically all the money that I make from Patreon, it goes right back into uh, the equipment that I use. And I've spent a lot of money on equipment, especially during COVID when I started teaching online, and that's kind of how I got started with content creation. And just to kind of tell that story real quick, because people always ask me, "Well, how did you get started on this?" And I really wanted to do a podcast years ago, and I even tried figuring it out. One day, I took my computer out and I was like, "Man, I'm gonna figure out how to do a podcast." This is before podcasting was an in thing, and so I attempted to do a podcast. I could not figure it out using my computer, and I was trying to use the internal mic, and I don't even know what program I was using, but anyway, it didn't work out. And then during COVID, we went to online teaching, and then so one day I was sitting home and I just told myself, before the end of today, I'm gonna figure out how to do a podcast, and I'm gonna publish a podcast. And I did. And that podcast is still up. You can check it out if you go to Seven Generation Podcast, which streams again on all the major platforms. It's like a five-minute podcast, and I was able to figure that out. And then from there, that's how I got started with content creation. And then, I had my GoPro and I would attach it to my motorcycle, actually to my helmet. And then I would just go ride around and show people where I was riding. And that was fun. And much of it wasn't really related to any of the work that I was doing, except for the my teaching, right? Because a lot of the content that I put out there, my educational content, is much of the content that I have taught to my students over the years. So one day I was talking to a friend of mine. They're like, "Hey, I think you should put some some stuff on TikTok." And I had taken a look at TikTok, and it just wasn't for me. Just wasn't my thing. And then I ended up, uh, I don't know, I ended up posting something for my motorcycle club, and that's really how I was using TikTok at the time. And then I started putting up a little bit of history, just some different posts about things that had happened here, indigenous history specifically, and that stuff started to really take off. And then to my surprise, people enjoyed my content on TikTok. And then my TikTok just blew up, and I wasn't even really trying to make that happen, but it ended up just taking on a life of its own. And as far as my YouTube, Dr. B Teaches YouTube channel, I just started throwing up some content there. I wasn't even paying attention, and I started to get followers on YouTube. And what I realized is that people really are craving some of this history. And what I always tell people, I know very little. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm still learning. There's just so much that I'm always learning, and I just want to share what little knowledge that I have, and that's really all that I'm doing. But I do enjoy podcasting. It's something that I wish I had more time to do this, just sitting on the mic and talking and engaging. So, but if you want to support my Patreon, definitely go check it out. And there's some videos that I post there that I don't post elsewhere. Partly because some of these platforms, they're starting to get really nitpicky about what you post, and it got to the point on TikTok that pretty much every other video that I'd post, they would mute it or it would get flagged. And I'm surprised I even have a TikTok account because, man, their community guidelines are tough. I don't want you sharing a lot of the history that I share. So I share with you the history that you should know as opposed to all that indoctrination stuff that they give us. But that's neither here or there. Um, the point is that I enjoy doing this. I like it. I didn't expect to be here today when I started that podcast. It's been about 5 years now, about 5.5 years. I didn't expect I'd still be doing this, and I enjoy doing it. I have my full-time job. I teach jujitsu, and I got a lot of other hobbies that I engage in, but this is something I love doing. I enjoy putting out the content, and pretty much everything that I get, and again, it's just very little, but I do want to grow that Patreon community. So, man, go check me out on Patreon. It's Dr. B Teaches, and become a Patreon. And I'm gonna start doing some lives there as well at some point in time. Um, and if you want to support the work, you can support me. And of course, all that money is going to go right back into what I do. And yeah, I appreciate all of you. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of content lately, and it's been it's been really good. It's been very therapeutic for me, just considering what's going on in the world right now. And there's just been a lot happening, and I know a lot of people out there are going through it, and I feel very blessed. I have a really good life. My life is not perfect by all means, but I have a really beautiful life. And I've had my ups and downs and whatnot, and I just care so much about people out there who are first doing the hard work, right? Trying to make it in this crazy world. And of course, the people out there who are just, man, just going through it and they're just not well. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that comment. It says your work brings others together and leads to good directions to other content that is alike. That's what I enjoy doing. There's so many cool people. So I had mentioned Native Coffee. I had mentioned Indigenous Land. Go check out Thosh Collins. He has a YouTube channel, and Thosh Collins is, man, he's an inspiration. So you talk about good leaders and talk about good people. I've never met Thosh ever, but I'm a fan of his, and he is somebody that I think um, you all will really like. I found him on Instagram, and I did some short form content talking a little bit about him and his perspectives. But he is Yeah, he's just amazing. He is amazing. Says we are interested in ed tech and interested in collaboration, discussion, wildlife increases relative sustainability. That sounds like great work there. Reach out. I'm interested in hearing more about your work. Really interested in knowing what you're doing. Okay, so back to Thosh. We'll end the show talking about him. Man, he is incredible person. Um, and at some point in time, I'd love just to connect with him and be able to have a conversation. Just a solid, it looks like a solid human being, really great father. But anyways, talked about his life, and he just really is somebody that y'all should check out. So go check out Thosh Collins. I got one last comment. Can anybody feel the storm? It would be a big wave if we could ride it. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. But anyway, yeah, so this is Dr. B Teaches, the Seven Generation Podcast. Appreciate you all. For those of you who are tuning in right now to this live stream, for all the folks out there who are going to listen to this later on whatever streaming app you listen to your podcast, appreciate the support. Much love and respect. To all you community people out there doing the hard work, much love and respect. And to the rest of you all, keep your heads up and keep fighting a good fight. Appreciate the support and everybody who has been following some of the work that I do. If there is something that you would like me to speak on, I love the feedback, comments, any kind of comments on my content about, some work that I can do, some content ideas. I'm totally up for it. And I really enjoy the engagement. So if you have some ideas, or if there's something as well, like if I do a video and I get something wrong, feel free to let me know, because there's been some things that I've goofed up on. By the way, I'm like my harshest critic. If I do goof up on something, man, I feel so bad about it. So in some cases, I stumble over my words. I think I was talking about a particular event, and I think I said 1968, and the date was 1868. Anyway, I make little mistakes like that, and those really get on my nerves. But yeah, it happens. It happens. All right, y'all. Seven Generation Podcast, Dr. B Teaches. Y'all can check me out on Instagram. Follow me there, 7gen Podcast. And then my TikTok is Merciless Savages. I got a bunch of short form content that I've been doing. Definitely check that out. And if people like this format right here, doing these YouTube lives, I'll continue to do them. All right. Y'all take care. Later.